Hi y'all, thank you for joining me. Candace Gillespie here from CandacesCanvases.com, and I am coming to you from Manhattan, New York. We normally live in Southern California, so we're on a bit of a vacation, but I promise to get these videos to you. So today is Scrappy Wednesday, and we are going to work on a mini album that we're going to recycle our old envelopes from. So grab your piece of cardstock. Here I have an 8.5 by 11, and I'm scoring it every half inch, well, 2 half inches, so half inch, 1 inch, 1 1/8, and then repeating that pattern, half inch, 1/8 inch, depending on how many envelopes you have. So next, measure your smallest envelope, and that's the size that you're going to need to cut this is our inside binding here. So here my envelope is about 6.5 inches. So I'm going to cut that with my lines going horizontally at 6.5 inches. And then what I'm going to do is fold on the half inch between the 2 half inches. So basically fold it in half where the 2 half inches meet together. And use my bone folder to do that. Make sure I get really good creases. And now I'm just folding it back. Basically folding all of my score lines. Just getting a nice good score. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put adhesive on one of the 2 half inch pieces on all of those columns there. And when that's done, I'm going to stick those together. And just using my bone folder, I'm going to burnish those pieces. That way that liquid adhesive really gets into the fibers of that paper. Just reinforcing it again. There you go. You have your binding. This is where your book pages or your album pages are going to be adhered to. Now there is a really popular technique called, I can't remember the gal's name who everyone quotes, Kathy Orda maybe? I don't remember. Anyway, normally what you do for the hidden hinges is you would slide those hinge pieces into the envelope. I'm not going to do that. I'm just showing you the basic building of this recycled envelope album. And I plan on putting paper over these pages anyway, so I don't really need to do that. Definitely you can if you'd like to take that extra step. All you would need to do is cut a slit in the bottom of your envelopes and make sure that excuse me, that hinge piece goes inside of there, and then you won't see these hinges. In the meantime, I'm just putting adhesive on the hinge piece, and then I am gluing the hinge to the outside of the page, and it's going to work just fine. Now, at a later date, I'll have to show you this completed album, but for now, I'm just showing you the basic building blocks. This envelope, the front one right here, is one of my favorites. It's my cousin's wedding. It has those cute little banner, triangle banner pieces, and that's kind of a theme at their wedding. So cute. I had to incorporate it. Okay. Now glue on the last piece in the back here. Well, first I'm got to make sure everything is all burnished well. Okay, now we have this last piece, and I'm just going to glue that to the inside of that piece rather than the outside. And with the front and this back flap, you'll see in just a few seconds here that I'm going to end up gluing those to the inside front and inside back of the book, and those will act as the very, very front flaps. So I have this extra little tab here that I'm just going to adhere down because I don't need it. Now I'm just measuring, depending on your envelopes, I'm not saying sizes because depending on your envelopes will depend on what size you need. So I just measured that, what the width of my length and width of my binding, and I'm taking this piece of recycled chipboard, and this just comes in the back of your 12 by 12 designer series paper that you would order from Stampin' Up, and I'm using that, and it's nice and sturdy, so I just love to keep it and recycle it. Now I'm cutting that to what my measurement was for the spine of my book. I want to say it was 1 1/4 inches. Maybe it was maybe it was 3/4 inch by, I can't remember now, maybe 10. I recorded all of these. I've recorded 5 different videos the night we were going to leave. So I brought them with me so I can edit them here and make sure I post them on time. So then I just measured the front and the back of my album, and I added 1/4 inch to the height and 1/8 inch to the width. And the reason why is because the height you want 1/8 inch on both sides, and the width you want 1/8 inch on the right side where you open the book. And so I'm going to lay it out, and the technique I'm going to use for this here is I'm just going to take 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to glue the 2 11-inch sides together. So it's going to be long enough on both sides for my covering here. And I'm not going to worry about the seam right now because I plan on covering it with designer series paper. I found that I really like to do that kind of with a contrasting but complementary paper. I like to cover the spine of the book. Okay, once your paper is all glued together, I am just taking my ATG gun, running adhesive, a pretty significant amount of adhesive on the back of that, and sticking it down, centering it. Now I'm running my ATG adhesive on the spine piece. And doing the same thing with that front piece there. Okay, now that that's all done, I'm just going to bring in my Stampin' Trimmer once again to trim up those sides to make sure that they're all pretty much even. I could leave it like that because it's just going to be folded under, but I'm just taking it off to eliminate bulk. You don't want too much bulk under there. Now it's time to miter the corners. Take note that when I cut these corners off, I do not go all the way down to that chipboard. I leave about 1/8 inch room, and you'll see why in a few seconds here. When it's time to fold it down, you want to tuck in that paper so it gives you a nice clean finish. So first things first, we train the paper to go into the direction you want it by first folding it, giving it a general fold. Then you add your adhesive and stick it down, and then it just kind of wants to go that way instead of pop off. Do the same thing, give it its little training fold here on the other side. Just using my bone folder tool to really help get that used to go in that direction. Spreading adhesive all over that flap and sticking it down, and using my bone folder here to make sure that adhesive really gets into the fibers of the paper. Now here's what you do with that extra little 1/8 inch piece. You tuck it in, just like that. I'll show you again when I get to the other side, a little close-up of what I'm doing. Encouraging it to fold with my bone folder in my hands. Put some adhesive on it. I think wet adhesive, your Tombow or anything like that would be the best. It dries permanent. But for the sake of the video, I just used my ATG gun. Now here's that second close-up. I'm taking the tip of my bone folder and I'm just pushing that in. Kind of like when you wrap a gift, you push those corners in and then you bring the other flap to fold over it. That's exactly what we're doing. I know at first when I saw this technique on YouTube, however many times I watched it, I was like, what are those people doing? So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, there the cover is done and it's time to glue in our insides, the guts of our book. Now you can see the front and the back flap. I'm going to use those as the adhesion pieces to the cover of this mini album. And I'm doing that just simply by putting adhesive on there and centering the book. And then putting the flap down. Okay, once that side's all done, we're going to do the exact same thing with the front. On the back here, I found that I had to go back to it because the fold here the envelope overlapped with that flap. And that wasn't a problem. I just used my bone folder to encourage it to fold. Now once both sides are adhered, you want to go through your envelopes and make sure all the loose parts are stuck down together. And we are going to take our brand new and very beautiful Lullaby Designer Series paper, measure your front cover and make it just about 1/4 of an inch smaller on the two sides. And then when you center it onto your cover and the back of your book, it'll be about 1/8 of an inch shy on the three sides. That back portion we're not going to bother with because it is going to be covered up by this piece of Designer Series paper. Now I got this measurement just by loosely fitting it over that spine and gave it a good little fold and then took it off and folded it well. That gave me a little place to fit my book in, and it fit just perfectly. And then all the measurements are all the same all the way around. Okay, so that is the gist of this mini album. A little bonus feature you can add is by taking what I have here is my largest punch. It's a 2.5 inch punch, and I am punching little pull slots out of each envelope. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed, and remember to stop by Candace'sCanvases.com to join my team for lots of inspiration that is, past videos, and to shop my homemade goods or my Stampin' Up! Store. We'll see you there. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.